Good day, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are on week 7 of programming with C++. We had to skip week 6 because week 6 was mid-sem, so there was nothing done on week 6. So we had to jump straight to week 7. So today we are going to be learning on functions, how to declare a function, and function definition, and also how to pass an argument, the default argument, the valid returned, and some function function names and some user defined functions. I also want to understand function what it means by function overloading and pointer functions. Let's begin. Someone ask what are functions? Well, no, no, functions are blocked. Okay. Used to function is a block of code that is used to perform a specific task. That is basically function. That is a block of code that is used to perform a specific task. An example of a function is this one. This int main is a function. That's an example of a function. Mostly functions they are in curly bracket. There is a curly bracket. The functions are in curly brackets here. That is it. So let's go to the types of functions. Sorry, excuse me. We have four types of functions. We have the user defined function. We have the user defined function. User defined function or the user defined function. We have the library, what's the name? Standard library function. Standard library. Virtual function. Virtual function. You also have the inline function. So we have four types of functions. So these are the four types of functions we have. So first, let's talk about the user-defined function. The user-defined function is what's the name? The function is created by the user to perform a specific task. That's the user-defined function. The function is created by the user to perform a specific task. Then the standard library function. The standard library function is more of like a default function which is programmed on the which is programmed in the CPU. An example is this. To me, another example of the standard library function. I can also say this. This is also an example of a function, a standard library function. We also have the virtual function. That one is a function where the base there was a base class that can be the base class can be overridden in the derived class. The base class can be overridden the derived class. That's the virtual function. Then the inline function, that's where the compiler, the compiler is just to translate the high level language into a machine language. That's what the compiler does. So the compiler replaces the function calls. The inline function is where the compiler replaces the function call with a function code, which potentially might improve some small functions in it. You can ask why is function important, like the benefit of functions. So functions, they are used to break down complex code into simple and manageable ones. Then they can a written function can be reused multiple times. Then it makes the code very easy to understand and maintain. Let's go to function declaration. Function declaration. So function declaration is just like the same definition for integer declaration, variable declaration, but it's just the same thing. You can call the function declaration, or function prototype. Yeah, so this helps to declare a function. Declaring a function. So first you need to know the return. First, declaring function first start with the return type, which can be the int, whatever. The return type should be the return type, the function name, function name, and before was the parameter, so it can be parameter one, parameter two. So just say p1 instead of p2, depending on the number of parameters you're using. I know how to declare. So an example, let's do an example. So when you terminate every time, I've always forget terminate it. So an example, right? Example, so let's say int, then function name, let's just add to, then say int um, first number. So this is a parameter to int second number. So these ones are the ones that the bracket are parameters, right? So let it be. So I'm going to explain this code in a minute. So this is an example of a function, right? So in this function, what it means, I've declared the function. So the function, the return type, the function name, the parameter. So it int was the first number, then int second number. What I'm saying is that it should print out. So this one should be equal to the first number, and this two should be equal to the second number. So when I error, not give an error, not an error. Okay, I think I've seen why. Yes. So this is a declaring a function, right? But in this function is inside of another function, which is the int main function. So what you're supposed to do is, let's make it a global or the variable function. So let's be here. Let's see where it's going to come down. Yo. Give an error. Error. Okay. Fail. Um. So I'm supposed to get an error. I'm supposed to get an error. I'm not supposed to get an error. I've seen why. Supposed to add. Okay, yeah, this is how to declare a function. Let's go to the function definition. Let's continue. Function definition. Function definition is just, you know, it's just a function. There is just a function declaration in which the body of the function is, is present. That's just function definition. Is there? It's just, the function is just the same as the function declaration, but this time the body of the function is present. So now let me give you an example. It's the same thing as this function. Let me just copy it. Same as this function, but this time I want to add the body of the function. So body of the function, I can say it should, so I can say int, then name it a should be equal to the first noun plus, the second. This is an example of a function. There was in the definition, so I've added this is the body of the function. I've added this is the body of the function. That is it. So now let's continue. Let's go to parameters. What are the parameters? I was saying parameters, the parameters and those things. What are they? The parameters are the variables inside the function like this. So this is the parameter. So it was in the first number. In the first number is a parameter. That's just the parameters. The parameters are just the variables inside the function. So how do we declare a parameter? A parameter is just going to be first the type. So let's say I go declare a parameter one. So going to be the type one. So it's an int. It's a type. So type one. Then what's the name? The name of the parameter. So first number. So this is the parameter two. So it's going to go the type two. Then the name of the parameter. So second number. That's just the definition for parameters. So that's just the definition of parameters. So let's continue. Arguments. Someone might ask, what are arguments? Closer to parameters, but are a little bit different from parameters. Sorry, arguments are the actual values that are passed on to the function. So an example, if let's say they say this, so it's going to be, let me write it down. Argument, sorry. Yes, yes. The argument want to declare an argument first, it should be the function name. The function name and the argument. So argument one, argument two. So the function, you say it's short and short function name default brackets, the a. So I'm saying that a is argument, so argument one and argument two. So an example is, let's say it's a function, let's say ado, then argument one. So let's say one, these are the values, arguments are the values 2, 5, 1, 2. So this is an example of an argument. So I'll pause 10 minutes. This is an example of an argument. So you can say, we have the types here, types of arguments. We have default arguments. So we have one, the default argument, to the pointer argument. So no, sorry, other arguments. Hey, that's a of time cool. I'm going to say that way. Let's first talk about the mostly some statements or some codes, some code that can be used as arguments. So you can use pointers as arguments, because argument, they are the values that are passed on. So pointers are also the they store the memory address of other variables. So it's just something similar to argument. You can also use pointers as argument. You can also use the references as arguments. You the definition of references. You can also use arrays as arguments. So we have types of arguments. Yes, types of arguments. We have the default argument. Then we also have the default argument. Yeah, that's it. So you might ask, what is the default argument? The default argument is the actual value which is assigned, or the actual value assigned to the premises during the function definition. So they are the actual value assigned to the premises during the function definition. Sorry, the declaration. So an example, let's say it's an int, then ado. So I'll say int ado, then int x, then int y, then so this 20 becomes a default one. So it's already inside the function. So what I'm going to do is, so if I wanted to return something, so it's going to return, so let's say return x plus y. Yes, this is it. This is an example. It's a function. It's a function. So what's inside? What's the outside of this? So let's print. So once we see out. See, how do I use this? I do. I'm replacing it with 50. That is it. 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 So I'm printing out. So I'm coming. Let me not confuse that. I jumped. So let me not confuse. Let me first print out this one. So you see, since I added a default argument, which was 5, no, what 20, which was 20, then I also, so means I've already assigned a value to the first number, which is y. So I'm not going to assign a value to the second number, which is x. So let's say I don't want to do that. I don't want to make the total default. Let's do it. So I'm going to clean this. Hey, give me a random number. Let's not try it. Let's not try it. Let's not try it. Please. I'm not expecting this, so I don't want to jump in. Let's not try it. Let's go. Let's flow with it. Just assigning the value to it. So and this is just it. So what I skip this up. So this one it means I've assigned a value to the x, and the default value, which was 20, I'm going to I want to, it's like I want to remove, that 20 from there and rather make it on default, something like that, yes, and put rather 15 there. That's why so I'm going to print out, I'm going to first print out the one with the default value and the one without the default value, right? The one with the default value, see what I got 20, the one without the default I got, that's just it. That is it. That is it. That is it. That's it. That's just it. An argument. What argument? So let's go to function calling. Before we go to function overloading, then we are done. So what's function calling? Oh, so function calling is just was multiple functions with the same name but different parameters. Hey, yeah, parameters. Yeah, that's function wasn't no that's function overloading. So function calling is just to execute a function by calling its name. That's just it. So function calling is executing a function by calling its name. So this how to write, this how to declare function calling. So it's going to be a function type. So the function name, then argument one. I told you argument are the actual values that are passed. Then argument two, a2. That is it. So let's go to function calling. A function overloading. So function overloading is just multiple functions with the same name but different parameters. That's just function overloading. There's multiple functions. The word overloading can should even give an idea. Overloading. So you should know. Is just multiple functions with the same name but different parameters. That's function overloading. An example, we have three where they can be in three forms. Don't know about the function overloaded. I'll be in three forms. An example is this is another function. So this is a function. I'm going to put another function, right? So function, but with the same name. They say the same name, so ado. With the same name, ado. And let's do it. So it's a double, double A. That's just it. The same number, different what parameters. So This is an example of function, overloading. So now another example I can also say is the same thing. But this time it's going to be three values instead of two, making it three values. So it doesn't matter about the number of um parameters. So far as it's going to be the same name, that's function overloading. It's the same name, that's function overloading. So C. It's going to be A B print then C. That is it. And the last way is also the same thing. So that's all for week 7. Really tired. Wow. That's all for week 7. I'd like to see the next week, which is week 8. Thank you very much. Stay tuned.